Hey, and welcome to this week's Inbound Debate. As always, on my left, I'm joined by Nick Pateman, and on my right, Dan Holt. And this week, we are talking about the new Facebook algorithm update. Now, on Tuesday, Facebook announced that they were retiring the term EdgeRank. Don't mistake that for saying they were retiring EdgeRank completely, and they were including a couple of new factors into their algorithm. Now, these two factors are actually really interesting, and we're going to talk about them this week and how it's going to affect brands. The first one is called story bumping. Now, essentially, it looks like they've tweaked down their time decay element on their algorithm. And if you log onto Facebook and you don't see a story because you haven't scrolled further down, far enough down your newsfeed, then there's now a chance that story will show again later on when you log back onto Facebook, and that's what they're calling story bumping. The second one is called last actor. Now this is really interesting. It's Facebook's go at sort of really personalising your newsfeed based on your interactions. And what they've said is they're going to release more details about it later, but in a nutshell they've said, look, we're going to take your last 50 interactions on Facebook and personalize your newsfeed, work it into that algorithm based on your last 50 interactions, and that's going to be rolling. So guys, I just want to get your thoughts on the two updates they've announced so far.
Yeah, I mean, to be completely honest, I guess I'm still a little bit unclear about certain details. So, for example, will it be implemented on a sort of proportional basis? So, for example, part of the scoring system is the number of likes, shares and comments that you get, but obviously if you've got 1 billion fans, you're going to find it a lot easier to get those likes, shares and comments than if you've got 500, even if your update's really dull. So I'm a little bit unclear on that. I'm also a bit unclear on, is it done on a sort of just an individual basis, or if you're consistently performing well as a brand, if you're getting lots of interaction, will that mean that you automatically get more exposure with every new post that you put up? I think there'll be a degree of that based on the information they've given, and if that is the case, then I think really it's going to lead to a bit of a kind of virtuous circle, or indeed a sort of a vicious circle, really, depending on whether or not you're interesting or dull. For brands where Facebook's really important. And certainly, I was reading a really interesting article from it was an interview with the head of social at Asda, where he was talking about, and this interview predated the update, but I just think we're going to see more of this kind of mentality moving forwards. He was talking about how every time they have an update, if they don't see 50 to 60 likes and other interactions within the first 60 seconds, they either immediately pull it or edit it. And I think based on these changes, as the algorithm becomes more sophisticated, we're going to see that kind of attitude become more prevalent.
Yeah, I think, well, with the authority side, if you have to be consistently performing from an engagement point of view, I think that might also then say if you ever your quality of posts kind of drops, then you'll start losing some of that authority, because it makes sense that if you're consistently doing bad engagement with your audience, then Facebook's going to sort of penalise you in a sense, almost. But yeah, I'm happy that they're moving away from EdgeRank. I think EdgeRank's a bit of a dated term. It kind of reminds you of PageRank and like getting around algorithms, which is kind of what EdgeRank was. It was trying to time your updates so that people found them really quickly and easily. Whereas now it doesn't matter so much. That they're removing the time decay element a bit. I mean, they're still going to use it, but it just means that now you don't need to worry about the timing. You can throw out a post, and it's more about how good that post is rather than have you got around the algorithm. So yeah, I think it's a good move. I think this the whole rolling 50 last engagements for each user, I think that's great. It just means that you're always going to have fresh, interesting news coming to you. And engagement was up when they tested it. So they mentioned in their report that actually brands won't be affected by this. But in fact, 8% of engagement was improved. Engagement with brands was improved by 8%. So I mean that's got to be a positive.
And
thing.
I think something important to remember is because you've kind of thrown out a few questions here, but like it's like when Google changed their algorithm as well. They're not retiring the old algorithm. We're still going to see consistencies, like because that old algorithm worked for them. So they're just adding in a couple new elements. So I don't think we're ever going to get into a point where we're in a completely vicious circle, where if for some reason someone doing your social had done it really badly for 2 months, you would never be able to recover. But I think what they're trying to do is reward companies that do social really well. So I don't think, in terms of if you're looking at your social campaign and you've kind of said, well, I want to do one, but at the moment the one that I'm doing at the moment is rubbish. I don't think you should worry. You just need to be aware that your current campaign might see less visibility if you don't improve it.
Yeah. So it's focusing on great engagement, and it's a tough one for Facebook because they have about 1,500 articles per user that could be chosen to go on the newsfeed. So they have to use an algorithm to work out what that is, and what they've done here is just making it more detailed, more complex, and by the looks of it, more engaging as well.
Yeah, and the idea behind it is to create, I think they said they wanted to create a personalised newspaper for everyone. And you know, I really, personally, my last thoughts on this is I really like the rolling 50 updates, because I think it's something that they haven't integrated into their algorithm before. They've integrated, you know, how hot a post is, how trending it is, and what your social circles are thinking about it, and people who have your interest. But they don't. It was missing like exactly what you wanted to see, and I think this will be really interesting to see how it performs. So thank you very much, guys, for joining me this week. As always, this has been the Inbound Debate, and we'll see you next week.